Okay, I'm opposed to the Go Kart Track on Wahluu because it's actually effectively privatising the top of the high point in Bathurst.
It will create a division into the future, and this won't just stop when the Go Kart Track is built, it will continue.
Cultural reason is that it's a very sacred place to us up there, the whole of McPhillamy Park. It's got cultural significance, both that it's that whole part, basically the whole of McPhillamy Park is men's initiation places. So we're the young boys that went through their challenges to get to the top of the mount and to go through their initiation stages and that up there. That's a very significant part of that whole part of McPhillamy Park. But there's also the component of it, which is where the go-kart track is being proposed, is that's where the women, the mothers, brought their sons up there to hand them over to the men to become warriors and taken away and taught their skills and taught their responsibilities and all those sorts of things. So it's a very significant place.
And let me say at the outstart, I'm not against go-karts. I think they're a fun thing in the right place. The proposal for an international standard track on the top of Mt Panorama, though, is the wrong place.
My name is Monica Morse. I'm a councillor on Bathurst Regional Council, but more importantly, I'm a great lover of Mt Panorama. I went up there last Saturday with my husband and our two little dogs, and we go into McPhillamy Park, and we stop the car and we get out with the dogs. Last Saturday was absolutely beautiful up there. It can be very windy on Mt Panorama, but last Saturday it was still, it was beautiful, it was quiet, the magpies were warbling. There were quite a lot of people there because what has happened in COVID is that people are taking advantage of seeing the views, the long views, the open air, and actually feeling the wind in their hair. And I was there and I'm thinking, this is all going to go. Because the go-karts Saturday afternoon are going to be roaring round the track. There are going to be announcements over a loudspeaker coming from a 2-storey building. There are going to be lots and lots of cars and trailers parked in McPhillamy Park. So I can't let the dogs off the lead. There's going to be such a lot of noise. The whole of that back area of Mt Panorama is fenced off, and there's a little picnic shed right over to the left. Now, we used to go there and watch eclipses or comets or wonderful things in the sky. Just look at the stars. And you can't do that anymore. Also, I said to somebody, well, you know, it's rather a romantic place, Mt Panorama. And they said, yes, it's very romantic. Lots of assignations have happened up there. So it's a special place. Mountains, hills are special places. I'm not against the go-karts in themselves. It just shouldn't be up there.
In making its decision, Council has not engaged the community generally in any engagement about what is the best way of using the top of the mountain. The processes have been completely in-house within Council. Council is the applicant and the developer. The processes need examination. They're not appropriate for a development of this kind, for all this to be determined without any public consultation or any notice being taken of the expressed dismay about this proposal by so many people.
I could take you back to 1937 when McPhillamy Park was created on the top of Mt Panorama by a gift from Walter McPhillamy, who was a prominent Bathurst citizen. And the conditions of the gift were that this be a park, a recreational park for public use. And Councillor Ben Chifley, later our Prime Minister Ben Chifley, who was involved at the time, said, and I quote, that as public money was being spent on it, the public should benefit, unquote. Unfortunately, we've got large amounts of public money proposed to be put into this project, and it's not the public who are going to benefit, it's the public who are going to lose out. The people who are going to benefit primarily are a small group of well-meaning enthusiasts, go-kart enthusiasts, members of a club with 200 or less members.
This is a public park, the amenity of which will be greatly affected by the introduction of a go-kart track. The peaceful activities that people have been able to enjoy will be reduced because of the noise that comes from the karts 7 days a week, and on 18 occasions during the year, special events where lots of people will be drawn to the area from the local area and overseas. This is not a local small go-kart facility. This is the first international go-kart track in New South Wales, and the plan is to draw people from around the country and across the world. Those extra people will impact upon the amenity of that park, the opportunities for people to continue to enjoy that public space. What has been really frustrating in the whole process is that the public have not been invited to be part of the discussions around how a public park should be used.
Look, not many people know that the Mt Panorama was once called the Bald Hills, and it was treeless until about the 1930s when trees started to appear for the first time. It was kept treeless for one of two reasons. Either gradually burning for hunting, which is unlikely since it's on the side of a hill, and more likely kept treeless for spiritual and ceremonial purposes. Now, I've heard Bathurst City councillors and staff talk about the lack of artefacts on Mt Panorama, meaning that they can go ahead and build a go-kart track. Well, of course, absence of artefacts doesn't mean absence of meaning. So we need to put that argument to one side. So it's of spiritual significance to the Wiradjuri people, and we should respect that. And I dare say it's also of a different spiritual meaning to Europeans and non-Aboriginal people, because we also find the place extremely alluring.
Another reason why the track shouldn't be built up there is that there's been 3 reports that have been done. One that was done was the archaeological report, which Council commissioned, and also the anthropological report, which spoke to who the traditional owners are, which myself and a few others are recognised in that report as the traditional owners of this area and can speak for country. In those 2 reports, it recommended that the go-kart track be built down where they want to build the second track. But also Council paid $4 million for, or 4.7 million from what I understand, for a consultation on the building of the second track. And the recommendation from that too was that it should be built down in the second track, because it's within all that infrastructure that is needed to build the go-kart track. Because if it's built up on top of the mount, it's going to take away all of that recreational area of McPhillamy Park.
Our concerns mainly revolve around, as part of BCAN, revolve around endangered communities up there. So even though it was known as the Bald Hills, much bushland had regenerated in the past 200 years or so, and it's now a grassy box woodland. So it's got yellow box, white box, ribbon gums, which are preferred koala food source. So we've got koalas, diamond firetails, dusky wood swallows, brown tree creeper, gang cockatoos, flame robins, scarlet robins, yellow-tailed bat, eastern bent-winged bat, large-footed myotis, and the Corbin's large-eared bat, and McCartney-eyes dragon as well. So a discovered grassland dragon species that lives up on the mount in the area. So incredibly significant finds in terms of ecology and that vegetation. The go-kart track looks like it will take out much of this, and not to mention the noise pollution that will come
The community is trying to be heard. We now are asking our councillors to really listen to the range of opinion and the strength of opinion in the community that's being expressed, to recognise that we need to think again about where the best place in Bathurst is to build a go-kart track, and to determine not to use public funds to build it on top of the mount and thereby spoil the opportunity we have for this to continue to be a grand part of Bathurst.
If you also feel strongly about this, we are urging people to go to the Facebook page, which is Save McPhillamy Park, contact your local councillors and contact your state and federal members.